Exiles, are you tired of having to manage rotating buffs and multiple button skills? Do your fingers ache from having to constantly play Flask piano? Do you wish your PC could double as a space heater? Was your father murdered by a GGG server and you desperately wish to enact revenge? Well, I have the solution for you. Introducing Path of Walking Simulator, the build that doesn't require flasks or even any active skills. Simply walk through the zone and let multiple cast when damage taken setups do the hard work for you. Laugh in the face of your enemies as you turn their attacks against them and leave a trail of burning death and destruction in your wake that would make Caleb Widowgash jealous. Use your now free hand to drink beer, eat Doritos, or do whatever else your twisted mind desires. Try Path of Walking Simulator today. Greetings, I hope everyone is having a wonderful day today. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of this build and how it works, I first just want to take a brief moment to just give you guys a look into what I plan this build series to be and what hopefully you can expect from this down the road. Many of you saw my cast when damage taken chieftain from last league. I'm considering that the prototype for this build. This will be build version 1 of Path of Walking Simulator. I have 3 goals for this build. I hope to make one of these every league, and I'm going to try my best to stick to these 3 goals. The first goal is this build should be able to do a full deathless clear of T16 maps with no flasks or active skills. The build should also be easily switchable between a passive walk only mode and an active mode. With my last build, you recall that was a cast while channeling Blade Blast was the active mode, and then just the walk only was the passive mode. And then number 3, the build should be accessible to casual players. I don't want it to have to require any kind of crazy rare or crazy expensive items. I want people to be able to play this build and enjoy it. So with no further ado, let's get into exactly how this one works. So once again, just like the last time, we are a chieftain. I am currently level 93. We do invest a ton in life regen. Our base regen just sitting in hideout is almost 750 life per second. We also get a ton of life on hit. We'll go into that a little bit later, but that is how we stay alive with this build. And also, just like last time, we are using an Eye of Innocence to self-damage to drive all of our cast when damage taken loops. So there's 3 different levels of cast when damage taken that we are using. I'm going to start with the lowest level and go up to the highest and kind of explain the differences between those levels. First is going to be our level 1 cast when damage taken. I will briefly mention that I am using a couple divergent cast when damage taken supports. You can see that it has 20% more damage required to trigger. I don't know if this is a bug or if it's working as intended or if the text is just wrong, but it is actually 20% less damage required to trigger. So this divergent cast when damage taken will trigger 20% more frequently than the regular version. But the level 1 setup, we want this to cast as much as possible. This setup is basically being used to just drive ignites and continue self-damaging for all the other ones to keep going forward. We are going with Desecrate and Spell Cascade on this. That will max out 10 corpses. We will eat 9 of those corpses with Volatile Dead, and then that one remaining corpse we will use for Cremation, which is our main damaging skill. We also have Blade Blast on here. That is just for the Unnerve effect, which causes enemies to take additional spell damage. And then just for good measure, we also throw a Firestorm on here, just to keep the ignites ticking up and up and up. The next level of cast when damage taken we use is a level 14. So the reason we use a level 14 is that is kind of the point of diminishing returns in terms of damage taken, but also damage output. As you go up in higher levels past level 14 cast when damage taken, you have to get progressively even higher level requirements for those other I'm sorry, that's backwards. As you go up now, you get only a one level at a time of additional spell power as you go up with this. So this is a good balance between frequency of triggering and spell power. So for this one, we are using Wave of Conviction with Combustion for the obvious fire resistance negation for the enemies. We're also using a Discharge on this. The reason we use Discharge is if we look at our Ascendancy here, we get 15% more damage if you've lost an endurance charge in the past 8 seconds. So by using Discharge, we are constantly getting rid of any endurance charges that we generate, which is helping us keep that 15% more damage up. We also have another cast when damage taken set up over here. This one is running Flame Wall and Purifying Flame. Just a couple more support skills. Again, this is a level 14 trigger. And then our big daddy, we have a level 20. Now the reason this one we're running all the way up to level 20 is because we are running with Cremation on this build as our main damaging skill. Cremation lasts so long, the base duration of 8 seconds, we can afford to wait the extra amount of time for that level 20 to trigger to get the most damage as possible out of Cremation. We also have this inside a Sire of Shard staff for the 4 additional projectiles. That is basically a 100% more multiplier for Cremation. It's very powerful. In terms of our other skills we're using, we have Energy Leech support. The reason I'm running this is since every hit damages us, we are pretty much have 100% uptime on the while leeching energy shield. So this is a 40% more damage gem. We are also going to run with Concentrated Effect. Obviously, a big 54% more area is always nice. And also running with Controlled Destruction. We are an Elemental Overload build, so we don't really care about the critical strike chance. So we're just going for the more spell damage at this point. And then even though I'm running this in a Sire of Shards for the +4 projectiles, I'm still running a GMP for even more projectiles. A total of, I guess it's triple projectiles that are coming out of the Cremation now, because each one of those is an ignite. The more ignites, the more damage we can drive. In addition to this, we are also running the Cremation enchant on the helm, so we can have up to 4 Cremation geysers at a time. So we're outputting a lot of hits on this build. For the other skills that I have on here, we have Skitterbots, we have Anger, and I'm also running a Vitality and an Unset Ring, and I'll get to that in just a minute when we get to the Watcher's Eye that I'm using. And then in the active setup, I have a Flame Dash and Enduring Cry linked to a Second Wind. Now, if I was playing this in a true active setup, I swap out this Second Wind support for an Unearth, just to generate a corpse when I need it. And then I swap out the cast when damage taken support up here for a Fire Penetration support. So just by swapping those two out, I can self-cast Unearth and Cremation, and then just run it like a quote-unquote normal Cremation build. So with the Eye of Innocence, we're taking that 120 fire damage with our 75% fire res that gets knocked down to 30, and we use an Ngamu's Sign ring to recover that 30 life back. So the ring cancels out the damage from the amulet. We still take it, so we'll still trigger the cast when damage taken, but this basically negates that right away, so we don't actually lose any life. But with the Vitality, we also will run a Watcher's Eye, that gives us, again, a 30 life gain for each enemy hit while affected by Vitality. So this means that every time that we hit with a spell or anything, every hit gets us 30 life back. Because we're losing 30 from the amulet, but we're getting 30 from the ring, and we're getting 30 from the Watcher's Eye. So we just have amazing life recovery on this build. I also put in a little bit extra money, got one with some increased fire damage while affected by Anger as well, just to get that little boost. In terms of the gear, outside the ones we've obviously went over already, everything else is just kind of life and resistance rares. There's nothing really special that you have to have on this outside the Sire of Shards, the ring, and the amulet. I do have flammability on hit on the ring, which is saving me sockets other places along with the socket on the unset. So I'm a little pushing for extra sockets and extra triggers. They're absolutely not necessary on this. This is just me pushing it a little bit further. If you don't have the unset ring, or you don't have the Watcher's Eye mod with the life gain on hit, just swap out this unset ring for a second Ngamuhu's Sign and you'll be totally fine. Again, body armor, just a normal life rare chest, nothing special there. The only unique flask that I run is the Cinder Swallow for the obvious reasons, but for the passive version of this build, like I said, we don't want to run no flasks, no skills. We just want to go through and just walk through and just do our damages. So without any more delay going over all the craziness of the build, let me go ahead and just show you guys a full T16 clear, see how that goes. And in the description of the video, I'll have a path of building file. Go ahead and pull that up if you want to see the tree and get a full breakdown of everything that I am using at this time. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy. If I did forget to go over something, which I probably did, I'm rushing through this, just drop a comment. I read all the comments and I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have. But yeah, enjoy the map run and I hope everybody has a good day.
Yeah, whole worlds come into existence at my will.
divine power.